Yeah, we're live. 6:45. I'm starting early because I got a lot of stuff to talk about. Actually, I don't have a lot of stuff to talk about. I just wanted to start early because we always run late. So if we start a little bit early, we get more time together. And that's what this is all about, being together. It is 6:45, so I'm 15 minutes early. Hopefully people will join in. Right now, it's just me in my room talking to myself. But tonight we are going to talk about cool stuff. One is that the thumbnail that I put up is a thumbnail of a Goped. I've had Gopeds for a really, really long time. Got my first one back in, I don't know, back when I was World Challenge Racing, so it's like 93 or 94 or something like that. And we used it as a pit bike slash. I used to use it when they would let us walk the course, so we could find the line for a new track that we'd never been to, or a street course or something. So we could find the line. So we'd go out and on the Goped, and I would decide, okay, here, this would be a good braking, good arbitrary braking point later on for when we go out to practice and stuff. So we'd go out and just figure out what the track was like. But I would do that on the Goped, and then there would be a guy in a golf cart or whatever, and then just two people out in motorized things. So you know what's going to happen, and they're both racers, so a race obviously ensues. But this is not that same one. This is a different Goped. But I haven't driven it for a long time, probably more than a year, I'm thinking now. And so we went to run it, and it naturally wouldn't start. So you know, it sat for a long time. It's a two stroke, and so what I did was my son said, "Hey, can we get this thing running?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, we certainly can. Let's just figure out what's going on with it." And I said, "Look, because the first conversation that we had was actually about me fixing one of the sprinklers and out in the backyard." And so I told him, I said, "Look, this is very important. I want to have a conversation with you because this is a learning experience. This is an opportunity to learn something, and it has most to do with common sense." And I said, and I honestly don't care if you learn anything about sprinklers, and they don't care later on as much, maybe a little bit, when we're going to work on the Goped, that you learn how to repair small engine carburetors. I said, that's not what this is about. So we started with a sprinkler, and I said, look, here's the problem. The sprinkler, near the sprinkler area, there's water there, right? I said, look, I've never worked on a sprinkler system. I said, but we're both fairly sharp guys, probably more so him than me. But I said, look, we're reasonably sharp guys. And the thing that we have besides opposable thumbs is we have common sense. We're going to use logic on this. I said, the first thing that I do when I'm presented with a problem, whether it's this or automotive related or environmental or political or religious or whatever it is I'm a fairly analytical guy. So I start off with common sense. What do I know about this? Okay, it's leaking. We see that it's leaking. So what do we think? Okay, it's a pipe system. It's irrigation. It's probably got a crack or something in it somewhere. Okay, that makes sense. So, we unscrew the valve and I take it off and I say, okay, look, we didn't design sprinkler systems. We've never worked on sprinkler systems. I said, but one thing that we do know, we said, what are the things that we do know? So we know that when the sprinkler system turns on, water comes in here and the sprinkler pops up and then it sprays water out, right? We know how they work. That's how it works. I said, so we have a setup here that has a spring on it, and that's what pushes it back down. So when water pressure comes up, it pushes it up against the spring. I said, so right away, we know something about sprinkler systems, right? He said, yeah, that pushes up, it spring loads back down. I said, and it's leaking somewhere. He said, yeah, so we'd have to put pressure to it. I said, yeah, but we don't really want to do that with the system because then there's going to be water. There's water there everywhere, and there's going to be more water there, and water is going to be coming out. So we're not really going to know where it's leaking. He said, yeah, but we could put a hose to it, just a hose to the end of it. I said, yeah, that's a good idea. That's good thinking. It would show us that it pops up. I said, but look at it closely and see. Look at the part that pops up. There's a little reservoir in there. He's like, yeah, we could just fill that full of water and just start with that and see if it's leaking out. So that's perfect. That's perfect common sense. So we fill that up. It's leaking water out, and we're like, okay, look, there's a bad seal there, obviously. Okay, I said, so you knew nothing about sprinkler systems, and I knew nothing about sprinkler systems, but we used common sense to be able to figure this out. So we logicked our way through it. perfect. I said, so now let's go get the Goped thing, because that's an engine thing, so that's gonna be much funner. So we went out and I said, look, an engine needs, what 3 things does an engine need to run? Okay, so we know that it needs air. It's got, because it processes air. Air goes in and air goes out. It needs air. It needs fuel, right? It's got to have gas to ignite and fire, and so it needs air and fuel. And it needs spark. We got a spark plug. We got all that. I said, so if you can figure out that it has all 3 of those, you're doing really, really well. So you need to figure out which one of those things it doesn't have to stop it from running. So we're out there. If you know anything about Gopeds, you run and you push on them, get the wheel turned. There's also a pull start, but the pull start, the spring on the pull start is full of crud, so we need to clean it out. I didn't have any brake clean, so we just took it apart. I rewound it back up, put it back on, and we did that. And so I said, so we're just gonna have to push it. I said, so we push on it, and I said, okay, so let's look at it. I said, it says, does it say anything on the carburetor? Yes, it says, push the little bulb at the bottom of the carburetor to basically to put fuel to prime the system. I said, see, so right away we've learned something that's we're able to do that and try that, and if we do that and it doesn't work, we know that it's something else. So are we doing that? No, let's try that. He said, I can't believe we've been pushing around all of this and we didn't read that. I said, yeah, it's important to read the instructions first. I said, but I want you to look at that bulb. Look at the bulb under the carburetor. What do you notice about it? He said, well, there's no fuel in that bulb. I said, so if you push the bulb, to prime it, I said, you're just putting air in it. So we know now that the carburetor right now is not getting fuel, right? So because if there's no fuel up to there, is there fuel in the line? No, there's no fuel in the line. I said, okay, so we have fuel in the tank. We don't have fuel at the carburetor, but we also don't have fuel at the line. So what's going on with the line? Well, we obviously have some sort of clog in the line. I said, so, well, here's an easy way to do it that we don't have to take the tank off. I said, if we take the line off from the carburetor and we blow into the line and see if we can make bubbles in the gas tank, then we know that the line's okay. Well, it didn't to begin with, and then it did. I said, okay, so what did that tell us? Well, it told us that there was something obstructing something in the end of the line, or obstructing the end of the line. There was dirt or debris or a rock or whatever, a butterfly, dragonfly, one of the fly varieties. There was something there. I said, so now we've blown that out. And now when we have the line, we aim the line down, we have gravity feeding, we have fuel coming out there. So put fuel up to the carburetor. I said, so now let's go try to start it. So I said, we have fuel going up there. I can't push the bulb. It's not filling the bulb up right now. So we need to, I said, so go try to start it. So we go try to start again. It doesn't start. I said, okay, we still don't have fuel going to the carburetor. We have fuel in the tank. We have fuel in the line. We don't have fuel going to the carburetor. I said, let's take the carburetor off and let's pull apart the carburetor and look at the fuel going in the feed line for the carburetor. And then let's see if there's something obstructing that. So we take that apart, and lo and behold, there is something obstructing it. A little valve that opens and closes when the motor's running. I said, so that's stopping fuel from being drawn in there. I said, that's the way that it's supposed to happen. I said, but there's something else going on here. So I said, look, there's another line that's that looks like they have it hooked up the way that they have it hooked up as a vent line. So they have a vent line going out of the carburetor. I said, seems to me that vent line should be at the top of the fuel bowl, and it's not. It's at the bottom. I said, and the other thing that he said, look, there's fuel dripping out of that. I said, yeah. So that tells us that that's not actually a vent line. So this is hooked up incorrectly. There's another line here that's capped with a bolt on it for some reason. And we have a vent line that's draining fuel out. I said, so what does that tell us? He said, well, we don't know for certain because we're not Goped carburetor experts. We could look that up online fairly easily. I said, but what I would try is let's take the other line and remove our vent line and plug that in and see what happens. So we take the vent line off, pull the other line off, plug it in, and then lo and behold, our little primer bulb fills up. There's no more leaks, and the thing starts right up. And then the cool thing is that it starts right up. And I said, look, I know that you want to go over 7-Eleven and get a soda or whatever. I said, but what you should do, and because we're using common sense, I said, just take a quick lap around the block, make sure that it's going to work so that you don't get halfway or even all the way to 7-Eleven and then get stuck there and then have to push the thing back. I said, because it's kind of a pain when the thing's not running to carry the Goped back. I said it folds, and I don't know if it has the little holder for the handlebar part so that you can kind of carry it like luggage. I don't remember if that has that anymore. I said, but if it doesn't, it's kind of a pain to carry back. So you want to make sure you always want to do a slightly shorter test run to make sure that it's going to work. And if it all runs good and it doesn't catch on fire and everything's okay, then we know that we did our part and it seems to be working okay. So we went and roared around and did the preliminary safety check on it, and then roared off and then came back. And the cool thing was not just getting to work on the two-stroke Goped engine and taking the carburetor apart and learning about, and I showed him, okay, look, this is the choke. This is the choke on it. This is what it does. It's opening and closing the opening going into the carburetor. I said, look, here's what the throttle does. When we open the throttle, it rotates around and opens the hole so that it breathes more air. I said, and when you do the choke, it opens and closes that orifice so that so less air gets in and more fuel gets in. I said, and that's how it works. I said, when you go to wide open throttle, it opens that valve up, more air gets in. It also, you're not seeing it because it's not doing it right now. I said, but it'll probably move that little needle up and draw more fuel in, and everything will work out the way that you want it to, and it works out good. I said, so that's basically the simple systems on how all this works. So you know what you're doing, and obviously we know now about our little priming bulb, I said, which is actually fairly common on these kinds of things, as long as we have our lines hooked up. I said, but we didn't know about this stuff, but we went in with a positive mental attitude. As I'm quoting Barbara Bach from James Bond. You go in with a positive mental attitude, and then use logic and just apply logic. You don't have to be a carburetor expert, because neither one of us are. You don't have to know everything that there is about Gopeds. We didn't even go online and look up what happens if my Goped doesn't start. You can do that too, and it's very simple. Then they'll probably show you a lot of these things. But quite honestly, I'd rather do it this way. I'd rather show him. What I wanted to do is not teach him how to work on Gopeds. What I wanted to do was teach him problem solving. And so it's the same thing with the sprinkler, and it's exactly the same thing with the carburetor, and it's exactly the same thing with life. When you're trying to solve a problem, the first thing you should do is not obviously overreact and be emotional about it, because we get all of that when we have a discussion about politics or religion or anything that somebody doesn't have a lot of ammunition about or intelligence about or data about. But they do have, what they do is when they lack that side, they overcompensate with emotion on the other side. But if you apply yourself, apply logic and do the analytical process, I said, there's going to be, even in something that you've never worked on, there are going to be things that going in. When I work on a new engine, I've never worked on that engine, but guess what? All the pistons go up and down. The camshafts spin around. The valves open and close, unless it's a rotary or a two-stroke or that kind of thing. I said, but it works on the same principle. The first time I did a modular Ford with all the wazoo chains and timing sprockets and stuff, you know what? If you put it at a known position and take a picture of it, or a mental picture, or note it, or mark it with a Sharpie or whatever, and put it back together like that, and it was running before, it's going to run again. And that has nothing to do with your knowledge of modular Ford engines. That's just logic. And if you go into working on a setup like that and go solve problems in that manner, obviously good things are going to happen. And success is usually the thing. And in this case, the success had nothing to do with him motoring off to the store on a Goped, but which was very cool, because that's you want that kind of success if you put effort into it. But the fact that when he attacked the problem, that he did it in a logical manner and just figured things out step by step, that is way more important than getting a Goped running. Although, Gopeds are awful cool. So let's see what you guys got going on. Tomorrow we're going to talk about something cool, and it should get pretty heated. It'll be awesome. Hollies versus quadrajets. And there's so much more there. So that'll be interesting tomorrow. What do you guys got going on? And that's this is a weekend, right? It's Saturday night. Is that am I right about that? Yes, Saturday night. Another Saturday night. I would always tell people if they could get it started, they could write it up, and he figured out how. That's the thing. Is sometimes it. I took a weed eater motor from Shenandoah and weed whacker and welded a bike peg onto the clutch and used that on my Goped. Nice. So I can sit there and let it idle. That's good. The first one that I ever rode was not a Goped. It was actually a skateboard with the trigger and the handle going back to it. So it was like the Goped, but no handlebar, just the skateboard part of it. And then you had the trigger control up in your hand on a little throttle deal. Whoa! And then what always happened is that when you'd wipe out, you'd still be holding on to the trigger, and then you'd yank the cord, and then you would let go, but not before you yanked the thing and went to full throttle and locked it at full throttle, and then had the thing rocket off down the street, usually into a car, or more often than not, into the side of the curb, and just dash the poor skateboard. It was awesome. Hey, I saw a dual quad setup with fuel bowls in line with each other instead of sideways. I noticed the Edelbar carbs are slimmer in the fuel bowls. Can you name others that are good? The Autolite inline carburetors are very, very good. I ended up putting a weed tiller 4-stroke motor. That'd be good. Yeah, you don't have to mix the stuff up. That's nice. It blew up a few months later. Are you interested in a chassis down sheet on a truck cam you haven't tested yet? I'm always interested in dyno data, as long as it's good. The Autolites were the ones done. Autolite was a company, but they did them for Ford, yeah. But they may have done them. Other people may have run Autolites. But the inline Autolites for racing carburetors. But Autolite also did stuff for production. Like I know that the Boss 351 was an Autolite carburetor, and then other Ford stuff was like that. Kansas dude gets a Goped that would go 45 miles an hour. That's pretty fast. Can you gap stock rings and a stock engine and squeeze more power out of it? Yeah, you can gap stock rings in a stock engine. That's what we do with the stock bottom end stuff that we get from the wrecking yard, and then add boost to it. You have to do that. Building a go-kart for my 5-year-old, need to install a kill switch. You definitely do. I remember when the boys were that age, I put the Kenny Bell booster pump on the power wheels, and I also got the older one, an electric quad, and the only thing that he knew was full throttle, just driving right at cars and stuff. It was a problem. But in the power wheels, and I didn't ever teach him that, but it was a drift machine after that, because it had those hard tires on it. But he already knew to counter steer and stuff. It was pretty awesome. And I did on my Goped, that's one of the stories that I did for Splash magazine way back in the day, is I got the guys to give me one of the Goped companies got to give me a Goped for the magazine. And oh no, I take that back. I think I bought the Goped, but I did get somebody to give me one of the pipes for it, one of the pipe companies. So we put a pipe on it, and then we've talked about this before on the live feed. What I did was we put an inductive pickup on it, and then just monitor the engine speed, because I don't think we had a radar gun at the time, but we monitored the RPM of the motor before and after the pipe, like at top speed. We did 3 consecutive top speed runs with a stock exhaust and then with a pipe. And it was 600 or 700 RPM higher with a pipe on it. It was a lot. Nice to see you on with my wife the other night. Yeah, happy hour and horsepower is fun. She's so like 18 different kinds of amazing. John, you remember the article where we modded it? Bob really, it's fun. It's fun stuff. We were jumping it and stuff back in the day. Any experience with small block Ford blueprint heads? Yeah, quite a bit. As a matter of fact, the small block that I'm running all the tests on currently have blueprint heads on them. 1 liter Mafia is in the house. Thanks for the date night the other night. It's always fun to go out with her. She's so amazing. Yeah, I remember Dan. I remember Dan's comment was, "Wait, Goped had a guy at work who used to race those things." I remember watching the races with those, and they were pretty crazy. My brother's Goped had a second wooden deck under the frame. Oh, cool. Cleaned up my garage today and didn't realize I had so many tools. The other thing I did was cleaned off the SU. Well, they're Hitachi carburetors for the Z and the intake manifolds that had lots of spider webs on it. I had to take the pressure washer out because when we were trying to get the Goped running, the first thing that I did when I was trying to get it running was I tried to get it running on the sidewalk, and then I looked back and realized that basically I just had Goped skid marks all up and down the sidewalk. So I went out and sprayed all those off. And then while it was out there, I just, hosed off the cobwebs and dirt and stuff from the intake that was been sitting around a long time. We put a 100cc engine on one of those. That's a lot. That's like all of it. You need wheelie bars on that one. Whoa. DMC's in the house. I'm still waiting. I haven't heard from Racer D on the and the guys at Westex said that the Trophy 4 is not there yet. The real RK3, I put a centrifugal clutch on mine. That would be a good idea. It does make it easier to get it going. What I was looking at doing when I was talking to my son today, I said, you know what? I'm wondering if I could take the friction drive and weld something on it so that I can use a drill to start it. Perry, 438 Dart, TFS 225, 740 solid roller. I kind of need to know what the duration is, but 12.5 to 1, 1050, 4150 TFS intake like the Victor. Does it have an adapter then? 1000 CFM 4150. Are the TFS heads ported? I hope. There's 70 people watching, but only one like. I obviously need to bring Lisa back on. Do you know if a Victor Jr. will fit GT40 heads without massage work or wonky gaskets? You have to have gaskets to fit a Victor Jr. A Victor Jr. is going to need a 1262 head gasket. Racer with it was scheduled for delivery on the 27th. Some Kragers. Those would be good. Or some, what are the ones that I wanted on the Z? Some Unilites. I've got a Motovox 2-stroke motorized scooter in my collection of small mini bikes. Cool. Got a bicycle seen it years ago. I haven't done anything with it, probably 10 years. A mini bike would be cool. Like an OG mini bike would be pretty cool. CNC ported trick flows. Okay, those will work good. Those will support, good ones will support over 300 CFM, I'm pretty sure. So if the cam is like a 260 or 270 at 50 camshaft, that can go over 600 pretty easily. Some tough wheels. That is OG. Are they still in business? Man, Tough Wheels goes way back. I remember when those first came out, they gave some to a couple of guys I went to school with, and they said, here, we want you to put these on your bikes. and you need to go out and do kickouts into garbage cans and all the stuff that kids do. Or you need to try to break them because we want to see if they're tough enough to stand up. And these guys beat the heck out of them. We used to go before school. I can remember going before school. We had this trail just in the middle of this field, and then there was an elevated section where they had this old folks home or something, and there was a jump there. And so these guys used to, pedal down this road or down this trail and then jump off this thing. So we'd all lay down and see how many people that they could jump over, and then we draw straws for whoever was the last guy. Especially like if there was 3 or 4 guys, they could sail over that. But if you started getting into 7 or 8 guys or whatever, then it got pretty dicey. The plastic wheels would break on the Gopeds. Kansas dude, seems like everything needs to be replaced at this point. That's the problem. Carlob's in the house. When Freiberger did the stroker test of the same parts on engine masters, they only gained 8 peak horsepower. What are the factors that determine how much an engine will gain with a stroker kit? It depends on the other parts that you have. The displacement needs to be fed. So if you restrict it with something like I did on the one that I did, where we had E7TE heads, and this would have been way worse if I would have had E7TE heads, the factory HO camshaft, and the factory HO intake manifold, because at least the GT40 let it breathe a little bit. But the gains that you get from the stroker kit are going to be dependent on the other things that you have, the heads, cam, and intake. If you restrict them with really, really stock stuff, like imagine putting a 2-barrel or a 1-barrel intake manifold on it, and then it will never make power. So the only place it will make power is way down low, where that 1-barrel carburetor induction system will feed enough airflow where it has more than the motor needs, and then the stroker motor can take advantage of that more. But eventually it gets to the point where it doesn't even have enough for the stock displacement motor, and so the stroker gains nothing. Remember the Goped go-kart? Yeah, my son had a crazy cart, that like spinny drift thing that was it was nuts. On a 50-ounce balance small by 4, is it safe to change the flywheel out of the box, or is the balance mandatory? If it's a 50-ounce flywheel, we run those all the time. Put 2-inch intake valves and 157 exhaust valves on some 706 heads, old valves for toast. What CFM do you think the unshrouded walls would get? Yeah, unshrouding the valves will get bigger gains if you put 2-inch valves in it than it would if you had the stock valves in it. We picked up like 15 or 16 CFM by unshrouding the valves with stock valves, and you might get more than that. I'm hoping that you blended, that you have the right valve seat in there, and that the seat is blended into the throat and stuff. I got a Suzuki JR50. I had a what was the little 50cc I had? It even had training wheels and stuff on it. That's what the kids learned on, so they could ride it around with the training wheels on it and not tip over. And then after a while, they're just like not having that anymore. Because my son, my oldest son, he rode around on a bike that had training wheels on it, but he was heavy enough that because he's a big kid, that the training wheels were just bent, so they're just never touching the ground. So we're like, you know what, you know how to ride a bike, so we're just going to take your training wheels off, and we're, and I'm going to run next to you like dads do, and then we're going to stop you from falling or whatever. And we just took the training wheels off, and he just drove off and went down around the corner and around the block. And I'm like, well, yeah, you were already riding, because they were never touching, because they were, they're all cattywampus because they were not strong enough, and they would just bend. So I'm currently building my favorite LM753 7875 Turbo 400. Good. Well, Mr. Crow, the 7875 is going to determine how much power you can make. So 7875 is like a 900 to 1,000 horsepower turbo, depending on which one it is. And so it can make that much. If you have a cammed 5.3, it can make that much. Doesn't matter what the cam is. Doesn't matter what the heads are. I also bought a ported polished cylinder head and oversized piston for my Goped, but I crashed it and sprung my knee. Oh, dang. afraid to add more power. I honestly do like the pipe was really fun on the Goped because it made it accelerate a lot better. I was not interested in going like it's just, you know, get my speed tuck, which we did when we did the top speed test, but I'm not that interested in doing that. Rings are gapped to 26 and 24. That will get you a long way. When are you going to build an Alice headed small block forward? I'm not gonna. Do you recommend a 750 or 850 on the high flowing 427, an 850? 351 engine mounts on the 302. Will it make it lower? I honestly don't know. I don't know. I've never looked at those side by side to see if there's a change. I don't know enough about the factory stuff. Michael, in your experience, what ring gap would you run on a Gen 3 stock bottom end? We normally run 28 to 30, but that's if we're going really, really high boost, like all of it boost, like trying to break it kind of boost. North Carolina is in the house, or Northern Connecticut, or Northern California. Derek, you missed. How about if I just say it again? We're live. Talking about ring gap, I don't recall if you got the rings on the K24A2 Big Bang. We didn't yet, but we didn't do a big bang on it. We didn't run very much boost on it yet. What happened with the Goped? We fixed it. My son and I worked on it using logic. Thinking about extending the frame. Oh, extended swing arms like it's going to be an RD 400 all over again. Long deck on it. BTR sell a VV cam for the LV1 and LV3. They have them. I don't know if they have cams in stock yet, but they have a really good one. They have a couple good ones. $600 is not very much boost. It didn't take very much boost to get to 600. Oh, we do need to do a poll today. This will be a good one. I'm thinking that this should be 100%. Oh, nothing but good. Logic for the win. Did it hurt using logic? It did a little bit. It was a little tough at the beginning. You know what I did like and they came out with these later after I had my Goped, they had the like off-road Gopeds with the big like knobby wheels and stuff so that you could take them on trails and stuff, which I thought was cool because the little wheels and stuff are obviously not great for the dirt. But when they came out with the big ones, that was kind of cool. Have you had a chance to play the new 7.3? I have not. I always wanted the knobby Goped. I know, it just looks meaner. And, you know, it's like truck guy stuff. Super Bigfoot, trail rippers. Oh, 10 stitches in my nose. Nice. A helmet would have helped. I know, that's one thing that we didn't ever wear. What's a swing bike? Look at, even this poll is not 100%. How can this one only be 85? They have a new one wheel that goes 27. Even that's a little fast. What I do want to do, and this is along the lines of the Goped, is I have that Honda Trail 90, which I like, and I ride around all the time because when I go off to the store or go pick stuff up or whatever, I usually take that because it's still running on the same 1 gallon of gas or whatever that I put in a long time ago. So it gets obviously much better gas mileage than the truck does. So I drive that around a lot, but it does need a little bit more power. So I'm wondering if I can make like the problem is they don't have any air fuel data on it. I need an O2 sensor, and I need to figure out what it's doing, because I want to put a longer intake on it. I want to extend the intake manifold on it, and maybe a bigger carburetor before I go into, you know, I could go in and port and polish the head, because it's only one and it's aluminum and it's easy to do. The other thing I could do is a different exhaust on it too, you know, put some chop in it. How much boost on the Goped? That would be good. That's what the pipe was like. The pipe was like boost. Got a twin S475 496 Vegas or Vega on the chassis dyno. That should be a lot. That should go way into 4-digit stuff. Look up Goped GTR 46. That'd be good. Yeah, this is a gasoline Goped, 2-wheeled steer bike. Put a pumping on the compression by shaving the head or something along those lines. So, yeah, are you talking about the Trail 90 now? Had a little nitrous to it. I don't want nitrous on the Trail 90, because what I need is, I just want to have it more power going up hills and stuff. I don't ride it on trails that much anymore. I mostly drive around the street, but we have some good sized hills and stuff. And also on the country roads out where I go look for snakes and stuff, the speed limit is 45, and on a windy day that bike won't go 45. So and uphill it won't go 45. So it's more like a 35 to 40 mile an hour bike, kind of all in. But on a good run, you know, flat with the wind or whatever, it will go 45. But it needs to be able to do that, and to do it comfortably would be better. This Goped is all stock. It doesn't have expansion chamber on it, but I did have it on my old one. Try one of those little superchargers on. I think this Trail 90 is only like 4 or 5 horsepower though, right? Trail 90, 7 horsepower. And it says top speed 55. Mine won't go anywhere near 55 miles an hour. And don't run the clubhouse with politics. No, it was more of a joke on the poll. Tomorrow will be as close to politics as I get. So make sure you tune in. For 14 horsepower on the Trail 90 would be really good. Where can I mill the head on the Honda? Made 750 wheel horsepower and 7 pounds. That's good. So you just got to turn up a little bit, right? Drop the front sprocket. I don't need more acceleration. I need more top speed. You do like the old photo, you in your underwear, Superman style. That's where you get the top speed, and then you have to have the cool, like, you know, like alien kind of helmet going back. That would be awesome. I think you can get a 200cc motor that will fit on your Honda off eBay. I don't think I need 200. I don't think I need to go from 7 to 200. I sold my DRZ 400, was only using it around town, thinking of going with a Grom 125 4-stroke. You need to mill the head, just go with a version 2 race head. What is that? I'll have to go look that up. 40% converter slip. Oh, on the 496. Honda Trail 90 is a 4-stroke. Yes, it is. Razor D. When I was at Bonneville last fall, the guys pitted next to me had a Vespa that went 94. That's a big number for a Vespa. Although, and the thing is that, like, in a Vespa, it's cool, especially if they had all the like mirrors on, like Quadrophenia. Okay, a 12B rotary, be good. You just need a 10B on the trail 90. 70. It's not a trail 70. I do like the little trail 70s though. Those are cool. Yes, but you have to redegree the cam. Oh, yeah, that's right. Possibly cut valve relief steeper. You can get a bolt-in 190cc motor with a 4-speed manual clutch that will bolt in. It's 20 cc's. That's a lot as a percentage. That's more than 20% if my math is correct. Yoshimura pipe, nice. Making lots of performance parts for. Aren't there 250cc Vespas? I'm sure that there are. Let's go to the. Vespa displacement, 278 cc's. The Vespa GTS is powered by 278 cc displacement. At its highest speed, the GTS travels up to 78 miles an hour in stock trim. That's pretty good. It's pretty sporty. Three out of the 4 lawnmowers I pulled out of the trash were overhead valves, and they all ran. I threw away. I think I gave away our lawnmower, our old lawnmower, and I know that it ran because it was a Honda. They had gaskets on CT90s are difficult. So that one's kind of difficult. A different style. So I can port the head though, right, and make a longer runner intake and do an exhaust on it. Change the timing a little bit. It might need. I mean, it's never been tuned up. I know that the spark plug has electrical tape. The spark plug wire has electrical tape on it, so maybe I should look at that too. Flip the air cleaner lid. Of course, it was a Honda. They are, and mine had VTEC. So we'll get rid of this our silly poll here. I sure thought that would be 100%. How is it that a quarter of the people would want that to happen? Chinese 110s or 125s are popular on CT90s. There was a guy that did Alaska to Argentina on a CT90 with a big Chinese engine. That seems like a really, really long drive. Guess I should dig out my 69 Trail 90. Yeah, see? The Honda lawnmowers startup, like the first poll, they were really nice. I hate being off topic. There's no topic for tonight. Obviously, look at look at the poll. We're bouncing all over the place. Trail 90s, Gopeds. By doing too much, running a high pressure milling oil pump, standard volume 6 liter, 6.5 quart pan with filter relocate, 459 cam and springs pre-boost, post-boost. No, having that oil pump might be a good idea if you've got, especially if you've got a filter relocation on it. Can you still buy a gas-powered lawnmower in California? I think you can still now, although I think that's probably going away. So maybe the 25% have a sense of humor. That's what I'm hoping. I have my fingers crossed. Yeah, I need, if we assume that the Trail 90 is making 7 horsepower, which I don't know if all 7 are there, I'd like to get it back. It'd be cool to chassis dyno it, but I don't think it will chassis dyno that little of power. I'd like to see what it does or do some other sort of instrumented measurement with it and see what it does, and then make some changes to it. I'd kind of like to see where the air fuel is right now, and maybe a cranking compression test might tell me some stuff too. I don't know about the centrifugal clutch setup too. Maybe that needs adjustment. My lawnmower is a gas lawnmower. Matt Bo Slice, that's good. 2001, I mixed some 10% Blue Thunder RC fuel with the gas on one of the neighbor's kid's scooter, and it was as fast as kid in the neighborhood. That will do it. That's good stuff. You got to hop them up. Use that old Cox airplane engine stuff. How about doing a Ford 5-liter Big Bang and see if you can split a block? It's probably a good idea. I've done 775, I think, with a 5-liter. I don't know if 550 will do it. Coyotes don't split. They make a turbo kit for the Trail 90s. What size turbo do they put on that? Where do you find a 7 horsepower or a 14 horsepower turbo? I could probably make I wonder if the see, that would be interesting. I wonder if the electric smog pump off of the modular Ford would be a good supercharger for the Trail 90. Your audio is clipping really bad. Hello. Leaf blower. The problem with those is the extension cord. Although we have the cordless ones now. Can we see a small block Chevy 400 Big Bang? Lion, thank you very much. It's hard to find a 400 anywhere. I don't remember the last time I saw one in a junkyard. If you Google Dr. ATV, you can send your crankshaft to them, and they'll make a 1200 cc, 120 cc stroker. I don't need to ask Faber or Finnegan if the leaf blower worked, because we did that at or a guy did that at the show shop long before those guys did it. But he did an electric one. He did it on an SHO Taurus motor. First thing you should do is get rid of the old points ignition. It does have points ignition on it. I haven't checked the dwell or anything. It would be a good idea just to do general stuff and see what's going on. Gotta check the old box trucks and vans for 400. Station wagons, they were in wagons too. Smaller homes make 2 to 3 pounds. But do they make 2 or 3 pounds on anything, or just on like a V8? Yeah, the problem with the leaf blowers is they're they're not designed to provide positive pressure. They're designed to provide airflow, and obviously that's a different thing. But if you get enough of them, you can make a little bit of boost and help power. Best way to track down unknown misfires on a small block Ford is turn off the lights and run the motor and see if you see any arcing anywhere is what I would start with. You can do if it's a fuel injected one, you can pull the injectors to see if you see a change in RPM. You can also do that with plug wires, although so it could be a little itchy. Rich, I missed a happy hour on horsepower. Yeah, you should have been there. We had fun. That was good stuff. Lisa did not have 4 drinks, which is better. I think a Max F for 406 would cook a 408 LS. I don't know why you think that. A traditional small block is not what an LS is. The Noid lights work good for telling you that there's a signal in the wire, but they don't tell you if there is something going on with the injector, if it's not firing, if it's plugged. But pulling the connection off of the injector and looking for a change in idle tells you if something's wrong with the injector. The Noid light can then help you then trace it. You can do that with coils too. I guess a great happy hour live. Oh, okay. Do the old Home Depot rectified tile with sanding trick on the head. Uncle Squirrel, you're doing an update. You're still blaming the squirrels. They're still problematic. I read, don't go over 60,000's quenched, so 60 is okay, but 61 it detonates. No, that's not true. Look at some of the Dodge motors where the piston might be 150 or 200 down in the hole. so their quench is way over 61. Hard to pull the injector plug with an HO intake. That's right, it is true. For sure, you guys are going to free valve the Goped. We're just happy that we got a carburetor to work. Baby steps first. That's the other thing, Dan, is that Dan said he would spit on the headers to see if they have a misfire. That's the first thing that we do when we go into the dyno is that make sure that we have fire in all the holes. So Brule, I use a spray bottle. I don't do that with my fingers, but he does that because you're not looking for little things to begin with. You're looking for big things. Yes fire or no fire. Hey, look, these are all 900 degrees and this one's 100 degrees. Okay, that's a big thing. So now we know it's that cylinder. So now is it an injector? Is it a coil? If it doesn't have either one of those, is it a rocker? Is it a spring? You know, is the valve hung open? What is it? And then you can start narrowing things down. But start big and use, like we talked about earlier, use logic. Start big and then narrow that down. I did get a chance to see the Steve Morris 8-rod delete video. I did get to see the cards on it. In fact, I commented on it. .400 Ford commonly had pistons 70 in the hole. Ours were pretty far down, if I remember right. Small block Ford EFI 5-liter intake makes half of the plugs accessible. Yeah, that's problematic. Check the firing order. That's also good. That's one of the big things that you check and make sure. So Dan, you're thinking Steve just got a bad batch of rods or something? I've never seen all the rods break unless it was unless it was hydrazine induced, maybe. Tony's in the house. Yeah, I told Steve Morris. I said that was bigger than all of our Big Bang engines. We don't even do that much damage. The firing order is different on the HO than it is on the early stuff. It's not the way that they ordered the. It's not the way that they ordered the cylinders. The way that Ford orders the cylinders is different than the way Chevy does, but the firing order is actually different on the Ford. Bigfoot's out. Just running our 12 in it. I would just like to try the normal things. I would like to try exhaust mod on it. I would like to try, so it sounds throaty. So I got presents. I drove. Lisa was walking down the street, bringing one of the dogs home from a walk, and I was driving the Trail 90, and I come rolling up, and I whistle at her, and she doesn't even turn around. And then I beep the little horn. It's like, meep, meep, because the horn needs to be adjusted, and it's just barely audible. I'm like, meep, meep. And she turns around. She's like, really? Are you kidding me? I had a little Tupperware tray on the back little package area. She's like, really? you were not a biker. I'd like to see some of those Big Bang motors tested at the track. They're tested all the time. Guys run turbocharged LS stock bottom end motors at the track all the time. I'm trying to think of some guys' names that have done it. I know Matt's done it a lot, Sloppy, and all of his guys have done it, but I'm trying to think of the guy that runs lots and lots of boosts on it. Yeah, Tupperware, because I didn't have a milk crate. I wanted a milk crate because milk crates are cool, and the milk crate I could actually lash down. But the Tupperware was the quickest thing I found because we had something in the I had something that I had some tools or whatever in the garage, and so I was picking something up. So it's just a lot easier to set that down, and then I used the Harbor Freight ratchet strap to hold it down, and then so I could go over to the store and put stuff in it, and then drive it back. She's like, wow, that is just not manly. Tried to pick up Lisa with your Harley Davidson. Yep. Hey, baby. Once you go Trail 90, I found a mini turbo kit on eBay for $160 for a Trail 90. Is a high volume water pump a good choice? It depends. And you can move water too quickly through the radiator. Did you have any muffins? No, I had the little vase with the flowers in them. I have an SRT 6.1. How much boost can this take on stock bottom end? If you put ring gap in it and you have the tune right on it, but don't ask your question 3 times because that's a good way to get kicked out. On the 5.7 that I ran, it will go over 1,000 horsepower. When should one use a high volume water pump? When a standard volume water pump is not enough. But you can also adjust that with pulley sizes on the pump. And you also need to adjust that with pulley sizes on the pump because you don't want to cavitate the water pump. If you spin it too fast, then you can cavitate the pump. And if you're cavitating the pump, you get air in there and it doesn't cool very well. Is there a big bore kit for the Trail 90? I'm wondering if there is. Okay, somebody went down it. I mean, I would build custom piping, find the smallest turbo possible. A VZ25. Hardened exhaust seats. Cars and cameras did a 120 plus Trail 90. That'd be good. Or your Hells Angels jacket. There's a members only. That totally counts, right? The fan's making noise. That happens. Yes, the dog. Who let the dogs out? That's Milo. He's in attack mode. He's walking perimeter. What about strapping down Scuba Steve and blowing through compressed air? That would work, except I just need something to get up the hills. You can go full members only with the gold chains and everything, and the cool like driving gloves, biker gloves. How do you get an engine to stay at temperature? You usually do that with a thermostat. A thermostat should keep it at a temperature. AWOL, your knowledge is very helpful in the car world. Thanks a lot. Happy to help. Car love. Honda 90s have tons of knockoffs, 110s or 125s. Who was the company that was trying to patent the compressed air forced induction? Compressed air supercharging is the only people that I know that have done that, and they did that at West-Tech, and they've run a car with that, several now. 150 China motor should bolt up 3-speed. I don't want a 3-speed. This thing has a 4-speed. What's the page that does the Big Bang test? I'm the only one that does Big Bang tests. Matt, you're heading out to California to see Doria. Please tell Rick I said hello. Oh, what was the Tim Allen biker spoof movie? It was Old Dogs or something like that. I've never seen a big bore kit for the CT90, but Dr. ATV will bore your cylinder and stroke the crank to get 120 cc's. Have you already done any testing comparing vacuum versus mechanical advanced distributors? The vacuum advance is only going to happen under cruise, so the mechanical advance is still going to happen the same at wide open throttle. The Trail 90 doesn't have a 3-speed trans; it has a 4-speed trans. Wild hogs, that's what it is. Road hogs. Sloppy mechanics, like Matt has done some stock bottom end stuff, junkyard stuff, where they've run them at the track at like the 1,000 horsepower level. Damn, I should put a hybrid motor on it. I could add a little electric motor on there. Yeah, the Trail 90 has 4 gears and a high-low, which I don't ever use that. Yes, the vacuum advance is a big deal for gas mileage on the road, because then with vacuum advance, you can have a lot more cruising advance, which was what you want while you're cruising down the road. If you're cruising down the road at 15 or 20 inches of vacuum, let's say, you'd want a lot of ignition lead. Run the electric motor off the front wheel into front wheel drive. Made the Trail 90 with high-low, yeah. I know, because I speed shift. Wah, wah, I'm flat shifting. Ape hangers. Sissy bar. What does it take to make 800 NA flywheel horsepower from an LS? I've never done that, so I don't know. I've made 830 or 40. Oh, flywheel. I thought you were talking about wheel horsepower. I've had 830 or 40, but it was a big motor. It was a 495. Still quite a bit for upgrades. I think that there are. The Trail 90 is still really popular. Carbon fiber rims and titanium frame on the 90. Yeah, I can get some lighter weight. LS swap, Sneaky Pete it. I'm just thinking that right now the intake port's about this long between the carburetor and the head. I just think more runner length. I think it needs 15 inches of runner length to get the torque up. But I think a 355 is better than a 400. It depends. A bigger motor can always make more power. If you have a bigger motor and you give it enough of the other things, cylinder head and cam timing, compression, induction system, the bigger motor can always make more power. It has to be NA because it's going in a Porsche 911. You can't have a turbo one? Yeah, Dan, I don't know how to make it only less than the NA power output if I ran nitrous on it. You should have seen me out there with the Goped when my son was trying to start it, and he's pushing it down the road, and I'm running in front of it, trying to run to the side of it, just try to spray starting fluid in it to get it going, because I thought once we got it going, it would draw fuel, and it was quite entertaining. Richard, would you consider swapping to an electric water pump and fans from a belt drive on your daily? No, I wouldn't. I don't think an electric water pump is good for a daily driver. The electric fans I think are a really good idea. Electric fans on the radiator are a good idea rather than a mechanical pump. But I did that on the van that I had. We took off the crank driven or the water pump driven fan and put electric fans on it. It was much better because the thing is really, really loud with those fans on there. It sounded like a Cessna taking off. How much do you charge to build a motor? I don't do that. Yeah, car love, a bigger motor would be better, definitely. Have I ever tried a belt-driven cam? Yes, I have. I've done belt-driven cams mostly because it made it very easy for me to do a test on advancing and retarding the camshaft that we had to see what effect that had on power, because it was external, so it was easier rather than taking the front cover off all the time. Ooh, I need to get a 2-barrel Goped carburetor. Looking up carburetors. Ooh, there's carb stacks. All kinds of cool stuff. I need a velocity stack on mine, obviously. So I'm gonna have to go down the rabbit hole tonight on the Trail 90 stuff. 4V Cleveland heads need a lot of RPM to do their thing. They work really well on the Boss 302, even at all the RPM ranges, and it worked really well on the Boss 351. The poll was already up tonight. Richard, would you recommend using cast 4V heads on a high-performance cleaver build? I think you'd be a lot better off using aluminum heads, and I usually recommend them for almost all things. The cast iron heads can make a lot of power. It's just that they're cast iron heads and they're not aluminum. Victor, I will be continuing with the Buick 455, more testing on that. So Carlo, you want me to put a micro squirt on the 90? No fuel injection for that. It doesn't need that. The carburetor works really good. It just needs more intake manifold or displacement or airflow or boost. Uh-oh, we got bots. We got bots coming in. We got bots. And they're gone. Hell, I'm successful. 2 more minutes. Welcome to New Bot City. Nitrous on the 90. No nitrous. I don't know how I can only get a nitrous to do 1 or 2 or 3 horsepower. That's a really small nitrous flow orifice. That's around a bottle that's only like 50 or 60 pounds of pressure. I guess I could try. Well, I wonder if it would still do that though, right? Even because if I put a stack in front of the carburetor, I think that's going to do the same thing as changing the intake runner length behind the carburetor. What water pump do you have to use for a timing belt setup? We were using a small block Chevy, so we just ran a Mezier pump. To make a nitrous kit for a 1/5 scale gasoline RC car. God, I don't know how you make the orifice that small unless you bring the pressure way down, because the orifice would be so small that it would just ice up. I think you'd burn the injector driver out if you tried to modulate an injector. I don't think the injector would work under that kind of pressure. You have to bring the pressure way down. Diesel injector could probably do that. They run lots of pressure. Do these carburetors have the ability to, can we change the jetting on them, or are these needles? think these are needles, right? Because what if I need to jet up? What if I want to use E85? Trail 90. Really? $300 for a Trail 90 carburetor? I think not. Vintage Trail 90. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go look at that later on. Later. I could put an RD400 engine on it. The fan's blowing at the mic, but I do have my little screen in front of it. I think that the mic is hearing the fans for the computer back behind it. All right, Matt. Let me know when you're coming out. The RD400 was a two-stroke, yeah. It got worse when I moved the screen. I'll put that on the other side so we won't be able to hear the fans on the computer, because my hard drives are just hanging out this. you know how we do it. The hard drives are just hanging out the side of the computer, so I got extra ones. Get out the drill. Sounds like bandwidth. The bandwidth should actually be good. No, because mine's hardwired, so I don't have to worry about that. Still throwing away 150 horsepower continuous rated traction motors at work, so that would be perfect for the Trail 90. Those are all books. Avid. I boost as well. That'd be good. Honestly, just there and spin the tires. That'd be perfect. Okay, guys, I gotta get going. It is Saturday night. Another Saturday night. Ooh, software update. Now I need to go look at Trail 90 stuff. Try to make big Trail 90 power. Click the like button, everybody. We actually have more likes than we have people here, so that's pretty good. Triumph triple. How about a Kawasaki triple? It's still light. It is light outside, I think. Yeah, look at that. What's up? Okay, guys, I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good Saturday. And